Hello there, and welcome to this episode of the Padawan Unlimited Podcast, YouTube Edition. With more and more cards for Set 3 being released, I wanted to take an opportunity to reflect on the cards of Set 1 and 2 that didn't necessarily make sense at the time, but now that we are starting to see what Set 3 is all about, I think they're going to be really great when it comes out. And so these are cards that I'm going to focus more on rares and legendaries that some of them maybe people really use. I don't really see too often, but I think that overall they're going to be really good for set 2. And without further ado, the first cards I want to go through are set 1, and the first one I think is kind of a no-brainer is Bombing Run. I've seen this card have limited play in set 1 and set 2, but the concept of it is for 5 costs you do 3 damage to each unit in an arena, right? That could be ground or space. And for set 3, if you think about all the token units coming out at 5 resources, there could be 3, 5, 6 token units out on the board. And even if they're a little buffed up in terms of having a little more health for whatever card that might come out, 3 damage is safe to say you're going to eliminate a lot of them or put a huge dent in the opposing player's plan. And I think this card is going to see a lot more play. We see something like this already kind of showing up in set 3 already, but this will be a good companion card that I think you should, if you don't have it, try to get a couple now, especially if you think you're going to play red. The next card I want to talk about is General Krell, who General Krell was was there during that battle. He ended up being a bad guy, but as a 5-cost double green, 5/4, when each other friendly unit gains 1 defeated, you may draw a card. I think this is going to be really good for long-term plays because if, for example, someone comes in at 5 costs, and you already had General Krell played, and they throw a bombing run, then all those units that just kind of got defeated, now you get to draw a card for each of those. And when you think about some of the strategies out there in terms of hand destruction or card destruction, this will recycle all those cards or fill your hand that might already be kind of depleted, especially against a red deck. And so if we think about your hand advantage is going to be really good. I mean, really good. And then consider that it's also Force Jedi Republic. I think this card was a teaser in terms of the set 3. Then I think it's going to see a lot of double green play. We haven't seen a lot of double green necessarily in terms of the for heroism in set 1 or set 2. We see a lot of palp double green, and I think this is going to be coming out of set 2, and I think this card is going to be kind of like a must-add addition to any double green deck. And then finally for set 1, I was thinking about what cards might be impactful, and this one I'm a little not necessarily iffy on, but I think there's a good counterplay. This will provide good counterplays to some strategies that are going to be employed in set 3. So the concept is I had no choice. You choose up to 2 non-leader units, right? And then an opponent chooses one of those units. They return that to the hand and the other in the bottom of its owner's deck. So when I think about this as like a counterplay, when someone comes out with exploit at the 7 resource turn, they use an exploit to bring down like a 12 cost unit to cost 6. Now you're forcing that. Now when they play that, you play I had no choice, right? And they're not that card is either going back to their hand or it's going to the bottom of their deck. And either way, it's going to be good because for 7 costs, you're removing 2 potentially really big units off the arena. And so there's another card, for example, Consolidate Power, right? That if you play this right after Consolidate Power, then they just wasted a turn, and you guys are both reset. But the difference is they burned units to use exploit to get to that card, where you're just playing a card, right? So your board state is going to be much cleaner, much clearer on your side, which I think is going to be, again, a really good counterplay. for any deck. And these 3 cards combined, I think, are going to be really good additions to their respective colors or respective aspects for set 3. Okay, the next cards I want to go to are the cards we see in set 2, Shadows of the Galaxy. And one of them is, I think, kind of obvious, Supreme Leader Snoke. I do see this already played a lot. It's probably the one card in this list that I think everyone kind of knows and accepts is really good. 8 cost, 6/6. Each enemy non-leader unit gets 2/2. So it's, you drop it. It's a soft wipe, board clear on the other side. This is going to be kind of a no-brainer for any blue decks that are out there that, by 8 resources, there could be a potentially a lot of units on the board that you can just remove right away. And then, having Force and Official, those are good tags. I'm not going to go too much deeper into that. Wild Rancor. So we're seeing a theme here, kind of the red side. With Wild Rancor, when played, deal 2 damage to each other ground unit. I don't know if it's going to have too much play, but I can see a lot of scenarios where, you're at the 6 resource turn, you're down, and they have a bunch of units on the other side. Drop it, boom, and you're pretty much wiping all their clones or all their battle droid tokens. You could potentially even ECL it in, right? Well, no, you can't. It's double green. It's double red, but you could maybe timely intervention it. If you had at the 7 resource turn, which would be, again, really, really good, because you are gonna, again, wipe the floor with all the units. And I think that's the theme with the cards I think are gonna be really good. It's anything that helps you address the issues about going wide. So set 1, you had Bombing Run, you can get cards. You can remove the consolidated power stuff. This one is also the same thing. Your Snoke is removing everything across the board. Wild Rancor is removing everything on the other side of the board and yourself. So this is more like a defensive play, I think. And then the last card for set 2 that I think is going to be really good, and I think we kind of all expected it, is Omega. Omega is a 2 cost, so it comes out really early. Ignore the aspect penalty on the first clone unit you play each round. So there's going to be a bunch of clones out there. And then when played, you get to search a clone, reveal it, and draw it. So, and at resource 5, you could drop Omega and then try to find a clone card for 3 cost, play it right the next round. And so you have maybe that card also then, gives more clone units. So there's a lot of potential combinations I see with Omega, and I think for any clone deck specifically, she is going to be amazing. I think that it's kind of limited in that aspect. Like, Omega has a very specific thing she needs to do, but you play her 2/2, ignore aspect, which I think is really powerful, and then you get to search, which is always good. Having the ability to search for cards is always really good for you. It's kind of like, Mon Mothma, right? Or Search Your Feelings. You could do whatever. You can get the cards you need at the time you need it, and I think that's very powerful. Okay, and so overall, these are the 6 cards that I think are going to have a really good impact, or their stock of value is going to go up during set 3. Tell me what you think. Are there any other cards you think are going to be really powerful? I haven't really seen too many, other lists that I necessarily disagree with, but I think these are the 6 that I think are going to be the most meaningful. Okay, and with that, thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate your time, and until next time, may the Force be with you.